ever seen me present or you've gotten to know me, you know I'm pretty direct and I like honesty. How many are here just because they have to be here today? You will not hurt my feelings. How many are glad they came anyway? Seriously? Good. I'm glad. Thank you. I'm really excited about this event. I really am. It was kind of my brainchild, and everybody said, yes, it sounds like a great idea. And a way to get a lot of you some career services stuff to you quickly, easily, and with your friends. But today we're going to talk about after the offer. How many of you have already had a job offer? Congratulations. Congratulations. So y'all might be able to even, feel free to kind of chime in with me if you had some experiences that you think you would like to share with us as well, or some aha moments that you might have had would be great. So we are going to talk, and I don't have a clicker, so please forgive me as I walk around a little bit. I am at least not one of these people who walks all the time. I walk just a little bit. But we're going to talk about after the offer, what happens then. So, the very first, you've gotten a phone call from an employer and they make you an offer. The very first thing you need to do is take a moment, celebrate, jump up inside. They like me, you know, have a moment of excitement with it. And then very quickly thank them for the offer. Thank them. You need to let them know you're enthusiastic about it. And ask for complete information on the whole offer. What are the benefits? What's going on? Because, and you're going to see in a few moments, the salary is only a small part of the offer. A small part. Most people don't think that. They get caught up on, I have to make $50,000 a year. Well, I'm going to tell you a story. Years ago, I used to be in corporate marketing. I worked in healthcare. I was a director of business development for hospitals. And I was making some really good money. Really good money. And then I switched over to academia. And I took a huge cut in pay. A huge cut. I took a $15,000 a year cut in pay, plus I walked away from a 20% bonus every year to go work with y'all. Have not looked back a single day. But I will tell you, because of the way the benefits were, I barely felt that $15,000 change. Because academia was so much richer in what they offered in the way of benefits that I barely felt it. My health insurance was 1/3 what it used to be. I now had disability insurance that I didn't have to pay for. So it all, you have to look at that whole package. Ask when they need an answer. Don't ever say yes on the spot. And I'm guilty of that. I've done that. Don't do that. Say, I am so excited about this. This is really a job I'm very interested in. It sounds exciting to come to work for you. When do you need an answer? I need to make sure this fits for me. And if they say we need an answer by next Thursday, you honor that. If they say we need an answer right now, ask them why. Because if they're going to push you that fast right away, you may not want to work for them. Because that kind of tells you a little bit about their culture and what they're doing. So say, why do you need it right now? Because I really do need to confirm that this is going to fit for me. Okay? Most of them won't do that, but you'll get it every now and then. Confirm with them that you'll be back with them at that time. You need it by Thursday? I promise I'll call you by Thursday and then do it. And remind them how excited you are to be their top candidate. The second step is to analyze the offer. What exactly is this offer? How much is it? What does it mean in true value to you? Okay? And that is the entire package. What is the position's worth? And then you have to think about what the cost of living is where you are. Now there's a trick that when I'm a trick, there's a truth I like to really emphasize with students, that the employer is going to offer you what they feel that position's value is to them. They don't care how much money you need to make. They don't care. That's not part of their decision in giving you an offer. They don't care what your expenses are. They don't care how many school loans you have. They don't care that you just bought your first car. They're looking at the value that that position has within their organization. And they're going to make you an offer based on that amount. And how can you find out some information? You can go, first of all, on Campus Cruiser, we have a great resource called ONET. It's based on data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And you can go in there and look up, say, I want to be a social worker with a master's degree. How much money do they make across the country? What's the lifestyle like? What do they do? And it gives you all this data, and you can even break it down by geographic area. We also have PayScale, Glassdoor, and Salary.com. Those are more really good resources to find out what that position's worth is in general within your area. Because you need to know that for leveraging when you do talk to an employer about changing or negotiating the salary. So, how much your benefits worth? Your benefits can be up to 50% of the value of your package. Usually it's 25 to 40%. If they're going to pay for some sort of grad school for you on top of it, it can be even more. Okay? So your benefits can be like an additional 40% on top of the salary amount. People don't realize that. That's a lot of money they're investing in you. Some companies, I've worked for two, that every year when they give you what you're going to get that next year, when they do their annual increases, they give, and by the way, your position is worth this much to us. And it breaks it down by all the things they pay for. All the things they pay for. Will the company pay relocation if you're moving somewhere? That needs to be in that package as well. Are you going to pay for my relocation? Because I know, and I don't need to use this forum to talk about it, but I'm getting ready to go to Auburn University. I'm leaving in 3 weeks. And my move from here to Alabama is $7,200. So if you're moving across country and you have a lot of stuff, that could really hurt you a lot in your move. Time off. How much time off do you get? That's a big one, because that's free time. That's your mental health time. Do you earn overtime? Do you earn bonuses? If so, how much? How often? A lot of companies, a lot of positions, you'll earn overtime, but they only allow you so much a year. They don't have a pocket to pay for that. Or they offer bonuses, but you have to hit all these goals before you hit it, so only 5% of the company makes their bonus. So find out those questions. Find out those answers and ask those questions. Is this based on commission, or is it a flat salary rate? Is there an opportunity to make more money? These are the questions you need to know. How often do they give raises, and if so, how much? And what percent of the employees get that raise? Big question. And we're going to see something about that in a few moments. And again, cost of living differences. You need to know what those are. So I have here, and I apologize that you in the back probably can't see this really well, but a friend of mine who makes right at $44,000 a year here in the Philadelphia area, let me have a copy of her pay stub so we can see exactly what 43.5 does on a net here in Philadelphia. Basically, she grosses, y'all know the difference between gross and net? Gross is the full revenue, net is after all the expenses have been taken out, okay? So it's what she actually has to spend. What hits her bank account is the net, So she grosses $3,600 a month. That sounds like pretty good living, right? It's a start. It's not a bad living, but that's the gross. By the time she pays $52 for her Medicare, $222 for her Social Security, $441 to the federal government, $109 to the state of Pennsylvania for their taxes, 3% unemployment tax, or $3 unemployment tax. Philadelphia, because she lives in Philadelphia and she works in another county, in another city, she has to pay a tax to Philadelphia for the privilege of living there, which is why I didn't move to Philadelphia when I moved here. I moved to Media. It's $142 just to say I get to live in Philadelphia. Woo woo! Now, if you work in Philadelphia, you don't have to pay that. That's just for those coming in and out. Municipal services is another $4. Her health insurance is $156. Her dental insurance is $22. Her mandatory retirement, the place she works requires her to contribute to her retirement, and then they in turn contribute a percent back. But she's required to put into her retirement. That's $182. Then supplemental life insurance is $1, which we'll talk about life insurance in a moment, which means she nets $2,299 a month. What is your average rent around here? Yeah, so all of a sudden 50% of what you make goes in. So you think you're gonna get a roommate for a while? I would. You know, are you gonna, when you go buy that car after college, or what are you gonna, and that's 44. That's way above the national salary. And that's what she nets. So her net is only 63% of her earnings. This is why you have to know the whole package. Because I will tell you, at some places, and such as a lot of universities, that health insurance goes from 156 down to 35. You know, so you can play with that. You can see some movement in that. Those taxes, your employer has no control over. None. That Social Security, your employer has no control over. As a matter of fact, if they try to mess with it, then they'll even take more taxes because it's the government. This is the government. That's why we hate taxes. So, but this is all there. And I wanted you to, a lot of students have never gone through this exercise. Have you ever gone through this exercise before? It's eye-opening, isn't it? So you hear your friend graduating, making 50 grand a year. He's not getting rich. He's not getting rich. It's expensive. It's expensive. So, some thoughts on benefits. Do you have a spouse or do you have children? Anybody have a spouse or children in here? You probably want some really good life insurance to protect them should something happen to you. But the rest of you probably don't really need that much life insurance. At your age, what you want to ask your employer about is, do you have disability insurance? Because you don't have it. If you were to die, nothing personal, if you were to die tomorrow, it's not going to financially impact anybody, is it? But if you have your hand cut off in an accident at work, or not even at work, but you have, that's going to impact your ability. What kind of, that's going to really impact you, right? So that disability insurance will guarantee you have an income stream even if you have that disability. You see where I'm coming from? A lot of people will never put this together. Like, oh, I want $250,000 in life insurance. Who are you going to leave it to, your dog? You know, there are all those crazy people who do that, but really, is that what you need? You have people who depend on you, right? Now, here's the second thought, though. Here's the second piece of that. How many of you have a lot of student loans? How many of you have your parents also listed on those student loans so they are held accountable for them should something happen to you? You want life insurance to protect your parents should something happen. And they're not only mourning the loss of you, but having to pay this, because that debt can go away. They're responsible for it. You see how that works? So keep that in mind. Retirement and match contributions. Some employers, I used to work in healthcare like I told you, my employer would match my retirement contribution 5% of what I put in. So if I put in $100, they put in $5. Sounded really nice. It's nice if someone's giving me money to retire on. I now work for an employer that puts in 3% of what I make into retirement. So one is if I'm making $40,000, and someone help me with the math, $40,000 and it's 5% of what I put in, and I'm putting in $1,000 a month, so $12,000. 5% of $12,000. Anybody have that for me real quickly? What is that? $600. Or if I'm making $40,000 and they're going to give me 3%, all of a sudden I'm making $12,000, right? Who do I want to work for? See how that? What is the match? What is the contribution? How is that going to impact my total package? Get your numbers right on that. Health insurance. Places like Widener, I think I pay $50 a month for mine as a single person. My old employer in health care, it was $250 a month. So how much is that health insurance? How much is that going to impact you? Because you add that up month by month, that's change. That's a lot of change. That's a chunk of change. And you want to make sure you're taking that into account. As you're looking at that, some places will pay for your dental and it comes free. Some places will pay for your vision. Dental and vision, that all starts to add up. If you're paying for it, how much? And then what are the deductibles? Since Obamacare came in place and it really impacted a lot of employers and how much they could afford to pay for your insurance, a lot of times the employees' deductibles went from like nothing to now $500 a year. So we have to pay $500 before we can touch the insurance. See how that works? So what does that mean? That means that that insurance is actually now costing me $500 that last year I didn't have to pay. See how that works? So check into those deductibles as well. Flexible spending accounts, which is one of my favorites. If you are the type of person who has a health issue and you have some regular health expenses that are not covered by your insurance, let's say you're a diabetic and you have to get X amount of insulin a month. It's just, I mean, there's nothing you can do, you're gonna get it. And you know every month it's gonna cost you $100 because that's what it costs. If you take advantage of a flexible spending account, if your employer offers it, and this is a benefit, they don't have to offer this, you actually pay that out in pre-tax dollars, which means at your salary range, that's probably a 25% bonus to you. So you'll pay that $100, but that $100 is really more like $125 because it doesn't have taxes taken out of it. You see where I'm coming from that? So that flexible spending account can give you almost like a 25% extra money on the cash that you have to put out. So look into flexible spending accounts. There's similar flexible spending accounts that some employers offer that have to do with childcare. So if you know you're going to have a child soon, or you already have a child, and you want to have that pre-tax money advantage to pay that childcare expense, find out what your employer offers. It's a great benefit to have. PTO versus vacation/sick days. A lot of companies have gone to where you have 23 days a year, you get to use them how you want, you don't have to tell us what it is. They're just your days. Where other companies will say you have 8 days of sick and 20 days of vacation. Well, that may sound better, but maybe you never use your sick days. And so the PTO is actually better. You see how that is? Because he's gonna get, what I said, 23 days? He's gonna get an extra 3 days every year because this person, theirs was locked up in a sick day category. See the difference? So if you're someone who's sick a lot, then you may want someone who has vacation plus sick and carries it over every year. But if you're someone who's young and healthy, a PTO program may work really good for you. Okay? Yeah, I saw your hand up. Sometimes they can. Typically, everywhere I've worked, so we're going just on Jan's experience, which is narrow in the world, but pretty much everywhere I've worked, if you're out sick 3 days or more, you have to bring in some sort of a documentation from your doctor. But usually if it's just 1 day here, 1 day there, and it depends on, every place can be different, and it also depends on your trust level that you have created through your reputation, as well as how crazy is your boss, so it's kind of a combination of those two. But usually if you're not abusing it, then they're not going to question you a lot. But if you get 10 sick days a year and you're sick every month for 1 day, you're probably going to raise some red flags. Which, by the way, if that's you, if they give you 10 days of sick days, don't feel like you have to use them. Those usually carry over and they protect you should you have something serious happen down the road. Sick days tend to not be something you earn and keep. They're there, they belong to the company to protect you. Your vacation days belong to you, not the company. So should you leave the company, they will probably, this is most companies, they could all have their different policy, but typically the company will pay you out your vacation days, but they will not pay you out your sick days. But you want to bank enough to protect yourself. Does that make sense? I've known a lot of young people like, oh, I get a sick day every month. I'm going to have a mental health day every single month. And then they get pneumonia, or they have to have surgery to have their shoulder fixed, and they're out, and they're having to not get paid because they don't have any sick days saved up. So be smart about those. Okay, negotiation. 45% of workers with high job satisfaction say they have the salary they want. So there's a correlation between being paid well and being happy. It's not a definite, but there's a nice correlation there. 46, and this is important, 46% of men and only 30% of women negotiate their starting salary. Men negotiate more than women. This is the #1 reason. I am a big believer in the gender gap myth. Women get paid less than men, not because there are awful employers out there who like men more than women, is because we don't negotiate. And there's study after study after study that shows that. Study after study that shows that. We need to learn to start negotiating and standing up for ourselves. Okay? So this impacts your long-term salary. How does this impact my long-term salary? I have another example for you. Here are two people. One has a $40,000 salary. One has a one went in, accepted her $40,000, said, "Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here." The other one said, "You know, I'm really happy to be here, but isn't there something we can do?" I've done my research, and I found out that the average person in this market area with the same job title makes between 41 and 46. Is there something we can do to kind of get in the middle there? And they get bumped to 42,000 because they had the courage to do that. What does that mean? It means in 10 years' time, $27,000. Are you willing to walk away from that because you're afraid to ask for more? Y'all see that? This is based on a 4% raise every year. Now, mind you, you can make up space with promotions and some other raises, performance-based raises that are more than 4%, but this is just the general 4%. Do y'all see the difference? That's a lot of money. I can go to the Greek Islands a couple times. I can pay off some student loans with that, right? Just because I had the courage to do it. So don't be afraid. One of my favorite lines is, if you ask for anything in the world, if you have the courage to do anything in the world, you have a 50-50 chance. 50-50 chance of them saying yes, right? They're going to say yes or they're going to say no. 50-50 chance, right? If you don't ask, you have a 100% chance it's not going to come true. 100%. So let's quit being timid. And I'm telling you this from a place of experience. I never negotiated a salary in my life until I came here at Widener. It's the first time I ever did it. And I was able to bump my salary a nice amount because I had the courage and the data to do it. Okay? I went through life, all through my life, being timid, being the polite girl, etc., etc., and I hurt myself, not the companies. Don't hurt yourself. Don't walk away from it. So here's some tips. How do you negotiate? Who's intimidated by negotiating? Scary. Absolutely. And I will tell you, if you do this, and I'm not saying this to scare you off, I'm telling you that to give you the realization. I do know of all my years, my now 17 years of working in career services at some level, I know one student who very politely tried to negotiate and they rescinded the offer because he did that. One student in 17 years. So it can happen. It's a risk you have to take. But in my opinion, if they're going to push back and say, never mind, we don't want you, you didn't want to work there anyway. Now, that's easy for me to say. It's not going to impact my bank account. But you see where I'm going with that? So you have to look at the full culture. So most employers start with a $5,000 to $10,000 cushion on the jobs that they make, the job offers that they make. They usually expect a little bit of pushback, a little bit of the game. A little bit of the game. 5,000 to 10,000 is usually where they are. Be enthusiastic about the position in the organization. Don't ever start a negotiation without that enthusiasm and that energy behind it. Be likable. Be someone that you want on the team. Be likable. Smile. Okay? Be confident. Watch your posture. Watch your eye contact. Be confident. Not arrogant, but confident. Don't make demands, ask questions. If you go in demanding more money or being, oh, really? That's how much you're going to pay me? It's not a good place for negotiation. Have it be a nice, even place. Use data and not emotions. Go figure out what the average salary is. Go figure out how much you are truly worth out there with other employers. Know what you've done that shows that you are worth that kind of money. Why you? Why you? Focus on your value. Focus on your value and what you will bring to them. Get the final offer in and all the stipulations in writing. Don't ever do it just with verbal, because you're going to be they may come back on it. So always get it in writing. And if they can't negotiate, don't throw a temper tantrum, don't get insulted, just understand it and then make your decision. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Had y'all heard all of this? Do y'all know this? So, they can't negotiate. They're at a point where they're like, you know what? And I have had that offer. When I first went to work at Loyola, I take that back, I did try to negotiate. They're like, I'm sorry, this is what we have. This is the job, that's it. And they were very nice about it. They said, we just don't negotiate salaries here. And I was like, okay, thank you. Let me go back and think about this and see how it fits in with everything else. So don't pout. But what you can ask for is, okay, I understand you can't negotiate salaries. I understand that that's corporate culture here. That's fine, I get it. How about in 6 months we review what I've done and the value I've brought to the organization? Can we talk then about the salary raise? Negotiates for time. Maybe they'll pay for some professional development. Okay, I get it. You can't pay for this, but there's a conference in Tucson every year that I like to go to because I have learned this and this and been able to bring it back to the organization. Can y'all pay for send me to that conference? Or I'm really thinking about getting my master's. You don't have any tuition reimbursement here. If so, how much? And can I choose my own school? See where I'm going with this? Find something else of value. Maybe they'll give you more time off. Maybe you have this fabulous trip to Greece that you were expecting to take. I don't know why I'm stuck on Greece today. But this Greece, and you only have 2 weeks of vacation, and your family's going to rent a villa on the mountains in Greece for 3, and you want a third week off. Can they give you that instead? Okay. Maybe it's a better job title that has just a little bit more prestige that opens up a few more doors and looks better on your resume. Maybe they'll do that for you. Or ask them how fast you're going to go up in the company. Ask them how fast. One of my favorite things I learned years ago is it's not your starting salary that matters, it's how much you're going to make with that company in 5 years. How much opportunity for growth in 5 years do you have? Yes, sir.
I stood out. I've gotten the same call from nursing 3 times.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, of course. Absolutely. Thank you for asking me. That's very polite. Okay. So, those were the hard benefits. But companies oftentimes, especially when the economy is really, really good. As a matter of fact, I can give an example. How many of you have heard you're supposed to have an objective on your resume, or we used to put objectives on your resume? That's back from the 1990s when the economy was booming and companies were begging people to come to work for them because it was hard to get a good employee. So the employee had the advantage. So we put on our resumes, I'd like a job with such and such. It's all about me because I'm special and you want me. Well, when the economy flips, they don't care what you want anymore, right? And it's more about what you're going to do for them. What you're going to do for them. And we've been in that mode for quite some time. But we're already, in the last year or two, we've started to see a flip over to where it's becoming more of a level playing field, if not more of the employee side. So companies are starting to put in benefits that help recruit the top people. Help recruit them. And some of these soft benefits are flex time. Can I work from home 1 day a week? Flex time, very important. Fewer hours. I know more and more places are allowing you to work a 37-hour week. Or maybe you don't have to do quite as much overtime as they used to do. So fewer hours, that's a soft one. Do they pay for childcare? Is childcare in-house? Will they help pay for it? Will they provide you with any kind of technology? Cell phone, I have to work on my phone all the time. Will you pay for my phone? They may be willing to do it. Some of them have gyms in-house or offer memberships. Some of them even have concierge on site. They'll take care of your dry cleaning, run an errand to the post office, all kinds of things like that for you. I see that especially some big companies. Aramark used to do that years ago. I don't know if they still do. Will they give you a travel allowance? Will they even get you a car? Will you have a company car? That could be a big one. And do they have education for your spouse, your children? Is there education they offer for others as a benefit? In academia, we can our spouses and our children can get a free education at most universities. That's a chunk of change. That's nice. You know, as a matter of fact, I know a lot of people who work here because they have 2 or 3 kids. and they want to put them through Wagner. How many of you are getting it free? I'm not going to make you do that. So anyway, so that's some ideas of things you can negotiate for. But who can negotiate? Who can negotiate? Is it okay for everybody? Well, I will tell you honestly, I went through this whole spiel, and now I'm going to tell you most of you are not going to be able to negotiate this first job. Why is that? You're not experienced yet. We don't know what you really can do yet. You're a degree, you're not experienced. Does that make sense? So you're not a proven entity. You don't have that leverage of saying, I saved my last company $60,000 in this da-da-da-da-da. You don't have that yet. Does that make sense? So for most of you, it is a level playing field, especially if you're in a large pool job, going to work for KPMG, and you're going in as a level 1 accountant, and all level 1 accountants get paid this much money. Not going to happen. You can negotiate all day long. Second and third job with them, you can negotiate. Raises down the road, you can negotiate. But that first job in, probably not. Structured, standardized positions, can't do that. Any nurses in here? Probably not going to get be able to negotiate that first job or two. Second and third, maybe so. Government positions, they're pretty standard. They have to go by a particular scale for everybody, and a lot of teaching jobs as well. So those are the ones that you probably can't negotiate. But if you're going to work for ABC engineering firm, and they only hire one new engineer every 2 or 3 years, and you did 3 or 4 co-ops, and you have some really good stuff from your co-op on your resume, you might have a little leverage. See the difference? So you have to kind of look at where you are with this, where you are. So learn the culture before you negotiate. Talk to people who are already there, especially if you have any friends. Find out if it's a culture that allows for negotiation. Find out what kind of a stance you need to take in that negotiation. Learn the culture. Also learn the culture to know if you want to actually work there or not. Is it a good fit for you? And as the keynote speaker said, you don't have to take every job that comes along. You're going to feel really desperate come June 1st. Take a breath and you may need to take 1 or 2 jobs at first that you aren't really excited about to break in to the world. You might need to do that, but you don't have to accept something that just doesn't feel right. You don't have to do that. You have something of value wait for it. A lot of companies will actually have you come in and shadow with them for a day. I see this a lot in sales. Come ride with our salesman for the week and see how you like it. And that you still, even though they may have offered you the job, you're still kind of on an interview there. Most companies you go to work for, you're going to be on a 90-day probationary period, and they can cut the rug out from under you at any moment during that 90 days. I always like to say you are on a new job interview every single day. You're continuing to interview for that job every single day. And remember, Pennsylvania is a right-to-work state and a without cause state. So they can fire you without a reason. Now, you perform, they're not going to fire you. Okay? They're not going to fire you. You don't hear of a lot of people just haphazardly getting fired around here. So, fourth step, you accept the job. Thank you for laughing. I have a great presentation on strengths, and it's full of jokes, and nobody ever laughs. It just breaks my heart. Some of them have cute puppies in them and everything. Fourth job is the acceptance. Thank them for the opportunity. When you go to accept that job, say, thank you so much. I'm really honored you see this in me, that I'm the candidate you want. This really feels good. Thank you so much. Close all other job searches. Once you accept the job, get off the market. I cannot tell you, this is ethics. When you commit to a job, you are giving your word. This is about honor and ethics. I'm not saying you can't quit in 6 months to a year if it's not a good fit. But you made a condition, you made an agreement with them that you're going to work with them. It's kind of like if you get engaged, do you continue to date? This is another long-term relationship, right? So treat it with the same respect. Now, those of you who have continued to date, I'm going to talk to you. Find out what their expectations. What time does it start? What time should I be there? What is the dress for the first day? Should I bring anything with me? Mainly bring a smile and a great attitude. Okay. If you decline an offer, you have to do it in a way that's very professional and very respectful, because you may actually want to go back to them one day and work for them again. And if you were rude or inconsiderate on the way out the door, you're not going to get back through that door. And I will tell you firsthand, it's a small world. When I first moved here, I was interviewing for a new career counselor. The second person I interviewed, at the end of the interview, he goes, "May I get personal with you?" I said, "Of course you may." And he goes, "Aren't you from Louisiana?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "Didn't you work at Loyola?" I'm like, "Yeah, I sure did." He goes, "Well, do you know Josh so-and-so?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, he's my new brother-in-law." I used to work with his new brother-in-law. I didn't know a soul in Philadelphia when I moved here. And I'm interviewing one of my good colleagues' brother-in-laws. Small world. Small world. Make sure you leave every place better than you left it, than you arrived there. So first of all, let them know how much you appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm really honored you saw that in me. Briefly explain why it's not the opportunity you want. You're very honored to have been excited. You might even tell them something about why you're going in a different direction. You know, I really appreciate the opportunity to be a Spanish teacher at your university. However, I'm really more interested in teaching math. Okay? So you let them know why. If you're interested in the company but not that exact position, say, "Hey, can we talk down the road if something over here comes up? Because I really like the culture and the values of your organization, and I hope to work there one day." So please keep me in mind for the future. I will tell you, I have personally passed people on to other friends of mine when I've interviewed them and it didn't work out. And I'd be like, "You're looking for such and such, you need to talk to this woman, Harriet. Let me call her and see if she's okay with me sending me your resume." You need to keep it that easy because it's a small world and people will definitely help each other out. Fifth step is advice for success. And first two is show up with a great attitude. Dress for the position you want to have, not for the position you just took. Let them see you already promotable. I have a friend of mine who moved from New Orleans to Riverside, California. Very formal to very casual. Okay? Very traditional, very casual. He worked in a hospital. He was in charge of radiology at the hospital, but not the doctor, the director of radiology. In New Orleans, he had to wear a suit every day. Moved to California, first thing they said is, "You can wear scrubs. We don't care. Come comfortable. Come comfortable. We're all comfortable out here." He walked into the hospital his first day in his coat and tie. Wasn't another coat and tie in the whole place. Second day, he showed up in a coat and tie. Third day, he showed up in a coat and tie. People started teasing him about being in a coat and tie. Within 3 weeks, he was on 2 committees. Within 6 months, he was on like 5 committees and was considered one of the greatest leaders in the hospital because of the image he projected. They told him numerous times, "You can wear scrubs, no big deal. We make decisions about people about how they look." Okay? Now, I'm not saying you have to go full-fledged coat tie all the time, but dress how you want them to see you for the position you want. He wants to get to the C-suite. His goal was to be the CEO of a hospital one day, and he wanted people to see him there while he was just the director of radiology. Okay? I did a little something. I did some research, very scientific research. I did a call out on Facebook. And I asked, and I have a lot of my former students are friends of mine on Facebook. And if I know you, I will accept you as a friend. Just get used to some of the LSU jokes and things like that that I put out there. But if I know you, I'll do it. And so I have a lot of millennials as friends on Facebook for me. So some of these are from millennials. Some of them are from people my age and even older. And I'd like to just share these ideas with you as you start to your professional life. Take it in as much as you want. It's not meant to be preachy. It's meant to kind of enhance some things for you, okay? So the first one is millennials more often than not report to interviews very quickly to inform you what they will not do. So they start the interview by putting up a barrier. I'm not going to do that. Be careful, be open, be flexible. Be known for being that person who will do anything. When I used to work in hospitals, when we were down, when we had to do layoffs and we were down, I cleaned toilets. I was senior management and I cleaned toilets. I changed bed linens. Never be too big to do something if it's needed to be done, okay? Contribute to your retirement plan, and when you get a raise, increase your contribution. Start early. If it's just $10 a month, start early. Don't wait. Compound interest is a magical thing. Don't be afraid of the phone. And this is from a millennial. You can't always text or email. Sometimes you have to pick up the phone. I've noticed this dislike of talking on an actual phone in my generation. Almost everybody is better at rural communication. Use that telephone, okay? Focus less on the starting salary, more on the opportunity 3 to 5 years out. Someone confirmed that, my thought with that one. And this one comes from a friend of mine who works in IT. For anyone going into technology, globalization is here to stay. I manage 3 teams in India. They may not be smarter than you or work any harder, but they're better educated, more driven, cost half as much, and can be replaced more easily. So they're easier to manage. Your competition isn't your classmate or your colleague, it's the millions of Indians and Chinese out there. So you need to be aware it's a global world. Protect your reputation and make people want to keep you. Americans don't realize that most of the international call centers are staffed with college grads, and many have their master's degree. The call center, it's true. Be the person they interview that sees the big picture from the first interview, the one who understands executive decisions, return on investment, necessary changes, bottom line. Be passionate. Seek jobs which invoke your passion. Show the first interview that you're buying in. Don't be afraid to ask questions that show interest and eagerness to learn, because owners and executives have pride in their creation and love to tell their company's growth and innovations. I always like to also point out that a lot of times you'll go to a new organization and there'll be some rules. Maybe it's about dress, or maybe it's about how many earrings you can wear, or how you can wear your hair, or whatever, and a lot of times we get offended. That's my personality. But a lot of times someone has started that company from scratch, and they have a right to want to protect their brand. So it's not you they're going against, it's the image they've created. So be careful of that. Be knowledgeable about your potential employer. They also like to ask, what is something most people don't know about you but are proud of? I do this a lot in my interviewing. What are you most proud of? I want to learn something about you. What gets you motivated and excited? And she says, I say my sense of humor, or I love to cook, or something like that, in which case be prepared to tell a good, clean joke. Humor is okay in an interview. Or bring a casserole. One of my favorite all-time, not to the interview, but once you get to work, one of my favorite all-time stories, and this is a true-to-life story. How many of you are nervous about interviews? It's pretty nerve-wracking, right? I was interviewing for a marketing assistant when I was at Loyola University, New Orleans, and I was interviewing this adorable, vivacious little alumna. She was precious. She had grades. She had everything going for her. She had a little bit of experience, full of personality. She goes to show me her portfolio at the end of the interview. Swear to God, she puts the portfolio on my desk, opens it up. Now remember, this is New Orleans, so it's in the subtropics. A cockroach runs out of her portfolio. This is a true story. Runs out of her portfolio across the desk toward me. She goes, "Damn it, Fifi, I told you to stay home. I'll take you for a walk later on." Who do you think I hired for that job? She went home, she said she cried. She knew she'd blown the interview. I'm like, it's New Orleans, we all have cockroaches, no matter how clean the place is. It's the subtropics, we're built on swamps, you know? Come on, it's no big deal. But can you imagine? So if you ever think you have a bad interview, remember Michelle. And I hired her and she was great. So sense of humor is huge. Recognize that although finding a job may be the most important thing in your life, as a hire, I love this one. This is important. Take this in. The hiring manager is just one of the least important duties of his. Okay? It's not his priority. He hates it. He hates having to interview. It's administrative overhead that takes me away from working toward my deadline and my deliverables. Are you following this? Conducting interviews fills up the few open slots in my day, so don't be discouraged when things are going slowly. The employer's sense of urgency is not going to be the same as yours. And when you don't hear back from them, don't get discouraged. They have other things beside you they're dealing with. Also, I will tell you a hint that I play games with people in the interview. It's really neat, but it helps me understand who they are. If someone tells me, when are you planning on making a decision? I'll say next Wednesday. I'm going to be through with all my interviews by next Wednesday. I'll get in touch with you on Thursday. Thursday comes, I don't call. Friday comes, I don't call. I've made a decision. I know who my candidate is. I'm waiting to see if they're going to call me. Because I want them to be as excited about me as I am about them. And I tend to hire people in sales or with a sales kind of background that have to be able to have the courage to go and talk to people that they don't want to talk to. And if they're too afraid after having a really good, exciting, energetic interview with me to call me and say, hi, my name is Jan, I interviewed with you last Thursday, and I'm really excited about this opportunity. I'd love to hear how your hiring process is going, because I want to be your top candidate. I cannot tell you how many people were my top candidate that didn't ever get the job because they never called me back or never called me to check. It's one of the top 2 reasons why people don't get jobs is because they don't follow up. Yes?
What's the appropriate time frame to call back to me?
If I say Wednesday, by 5 o'clock on Thursday, you can call. Give me at least 24 hours. Okay? So, and the good news is in this day and age, chances are you're going to get their voicemail anyway, so you have to really talk to them. So, you're going to be nervous making that call, but it's just a voicemail. So you can do that. So, be flexible, be dependable, be reasonable, be self-disciplined. Your boss and your co-workers are always watching. Okay? Are these helpful? Cool, thank you, because I had fun doing them. Be friendly with all co-workers, but not personal. I kind of disagree with that, but I can see this one friend. And so know your culture. To me, we spend more time at work than we do with our family, so I tend to make friends at work. But don't make friends with everybody. Be selective who you do that with, because unfortunately, it can be a little unsafe sometimes. Even when baited, never engage in gossip. Hallelujah. Yes, don't engage in gossip. It will come back and bite you. It will come back and bite you every time. Get away. There was a great book in the 1990s that I love called Swimming with the Sharks. And when there's blood in the water, meaning gossipy time, there's blood, people are talking, that's when the sharks come to attack. So be careful, okay? Does that make sense to you? Okay, that analogy will make sure I clean it up. Be pleasant, smile, all simple things, but do matter. Recent graduates need to have a realistic assessment of who they are and what they have to offer. Remember, you're smart, you've proved it, you've got that degree, but you have no experience yet. You're not a proven entity yet. The vast majority of new college graduates have an unbelievably unrealistic assessment of who they are. So this isn't to bring you down, but and also do some self-awareness work. How many of you have taken advantage of doing strengths here? How many of you have done a Myers-Briggs here? How many of you have done a strong inventory? Find out who you are. Anybody study Maslow's hierarchy? What's at the very top? When are you at your absolute self-actualization? It's not down here with food and water and shelter. Self-actualization's hard. It's up here. Most of us aren't good at it. Most of us never get there. So the more you know who you are, the stronger you'll be, the more confident you'll be, the more confident you'll be. Anticipate what needs to be done and do it. Don't wait for someone to tell you to do something. Anticipate and do it. Have high expectations for yourself and the quality of work that you do. Take note of the experienced people around you and what high quality means. Learn from them who are respected and have been here a long time. What you do in the future is more important than anything you have done in the past. It matters little what you've achieved in college or your previous job. What matters most is what you can contribute right now, and in the years to come. The future's ahead of you. You have so much opportunity to do so much. I love this one. You are the only one responsible for planning and developing your own career. Look ahead 1 to 2 years and a goal for 4 to 5 years, and make every action you do support those plans. The helping hand you are looking for is at the end of your armpit. I, in all my years of working and all the employers I've had, have only had one of them ever take me to training. Only one did I go to training before I started work. Every other one, day one, I should be getting stuff done. And nobody put me in a class to do it. I was supposed to bring that knowledge or that curiosity to learn it with me. So don't go expecting them to do it. Be responsible for your own. And I love this one. Be the one looking for a career. Delete the word job from your vocabulary. Make it a career. I want to see you all be successful. I want to see you all get lots of offers and you have a choice. Wouldn't that be beautiful? If it doesn't happen this first time, it will down the road. But have the courage to negotiate. You have some tools now. And if you want to practice those tools, the Career Services can help you do that. Okay? Thank you very much. Yes, if you haven't been signed, see me on the radio.